Is here. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, colleagues, our beloved students, it is a great happiness and a privilege to see you all here and to initiate this conference dedicated to a very vast, but not maybe relatively not a very vast, but very important period of Central Asian history, which, as we were discussing with our friends in India, with Abuzarji, in Türkiye, in Pakistan, also had a significance not only in Central Asia, but in West and South Asia as well. Uh, it is not a big secret that I'm not a big specialist in history. I'm a purely political scientist, specialist in international relations. But today we are very fortunate to have amazing speakers, motivational speakers, I would like to say, in terms of international relations, history, political science. We have amazing scholars from India, Turkey, Iran, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, who will share today their expertise. And we do believe that this conference will be the first one in the series of I would like to believe very useful conferences. We will work and we can do monographs. We can open a workshop on dedicated to this part of international relations, political science and history of Central, South Asia and West Asia. So without further introduction, I would like to give the floor to an amazing scholar, a great friend of Central Asia, and my own great friend, Professor Abuzar Khairi from Jamia Millia Islamia University, for the keyword. Abuzarji, the floor is yours. He is saying that there is no sound. Uh, can you just turn on and turn off? Uh, then maybe it will be good saying if you will just turn off your computer, reload the program and come back again. And then I will just, in order to save time and not to make pauses, I will give the floor to Yasar Sara from Ibn Haldun University, another great friend of Central Asia and my own great friend and brother.
Thank you, Akbota. First, everyone, here is morning. Good morning from Istanbul. This is very foggy day. First, I would like to thank to Akbota and the Fergana State University, Eurasian National University, organizing this conference. The subject is very timely subject and also a very important subject to understand the today Uzbek identity, not only Uzbek identity, but also a general Turkish identity. In front of me, I have several books recently published in Turkey about the issue of the Jaddidism and the what kind of influence have. One is let me read the first the title in Turkish, then translate that one. The one book is the Türkistan's Milli Uyanışında Özbek Cedidcileri, Abdurrauf Fıtrat örneği. So it means that the national awakening of the Turkestan Özbek Cedidist, the case of the Abdurrauf Fıtrat. The other one is the It's written by this is Seyfettin Ershahin, a Turkish professor. The other one is written local Central Asian Zeynabidin Abdurrashidov. The book title is the Ismail Gasprali and the 20th centuries, the beginning of the 20th century's Turkestan. Here is also mentioning about the Jaddidism. And the last one is written by another Turkish scholar, Yusuf Avcı, and he's talking about the Fıtrat and the Jaddidism. This book is written by the Hamidullah Baltabayev. That's also translated. Just a few examples. This is just 2023. This book's published in Turkey. But as we know already, 2023 in Uzbekistan, a year of the Jaddidism, and the Uzbek government celebrated those Jaddid ideas and did several different conferences, international conferences on the subject. Why? So I also have a presentation. Without entering my presentation, let me also talk about what we are doing in Turkey, especially in our university, Ibn Haldun University. Ibn Haldun University is a new university, private university in Istanbul. And the university, we have a center called Heydar Aliyev Center for Eurasian Studies. And we are working and studying, doing a research, and also having the partnership with the different universities in Uzbekistan, in Kazakhstan, in Kyrgyzstan, as well as Azerbaijan, on the different issues. One of the issues is, of course, Jaddid movement. Because why is Jaddid movement is important for us? Jaddid is not only the movement is the kind of describing the today Uzbek nationality and national identity, but also had the influence on the Turkish national identity too. Even if you look at the founder of the Jaddid movement, Gasparov Ismail, or in Russian they call Gasparinsky Ismail, and he mainly educated and he developed this idea in Istanbul during the late 19th century under the Ottoman Empire. Then his published newspaper, Tercüman, and he opened the school, Jaddid School. They spread the idea of the language, national identity, educational reform, and those kind of development of that time, especially he kind of copying from the European experience. So that is opened the way to schools in Central Asia too. So when we are talking about today, the Central Asian Jaddid scholars, I mean the early 20th centuries Uzbek Jaddids, especially Bukhara-based Jaddid, like the Bahbudi, Abdurrauf Fıtrat, Cholpan, Munawvar Khairi, Sadreddin Ayni, Feyzullah Hocaev, later maybe. We are seeing that either some of them had education in Istanbul or had education under the Jaddid school in Tashkent, in Bukhara, and so on. So that gave them to a base to develop their ideology, their ideas. If you look at their work, some of them is the literature work. I mean the poems or novel. You can see that influence in their writing. And when they are emphasizing their national character, mainly they are mentioning about the Turkish identity. One thing I also need to explain. When we are talking about the Turkish identity, it's not only related Turkish identity in Türkiye today. This is Turkish identity, more broader sense, which is the main part, is this identity developed in Central Asia. For that reason, it's not some scholars, especially among the Russians, and some among the West too, is a kind of pan-Turkism, or they describe as a pan-Turkism or the neo-Ottoman. No, this Turkish identity is not that narrow identity describing the today Anatolian Turkish identity. This identity is more broader sense, is the covering the almost all Central Asian countries except Tajikistan, and the societies in Central Asia, Caucasus, including Siberia too. So Jadid scholars or intellectuals, if the right definition, is help us to define how they understand. Let's not forget, under the Russian Tsarist Empire, the Central Asia, today's Central Asia, divided three parts. One is the steppe governorate. The middle is the called, starting from the 1876, Turkestan governorate. Let me repeat, Turkestan. So Turkestan, the land, the stan is the coming from the Persian, the land of the people. The land, Turkestan, land of the Turkic people. So even Russian administration and Tsarist administration defined the heart of today Uzbekistan, some part of the Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, and the northeastern part of the Turkmenistan as under the Turkestan governorate. So that is the showing that this identity is already established before even Jadid's move. Okay. I don't know, the Akbota's connection is gone.
No, I'm here. Yasar,
you are
I'm
here. So
electricity died here in Margılan, but I'm here.
Okay. So should I enter my presentation, or let's wait our colleague, keynote speaker, to make a speech, then after that I can make it my own presentation.
Let us see if Abuzar ji can speak. Abuzar ji, are you audible?
Yes, I joined.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we'll pass the floor to you.
Okay. Now, can I start?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, I am sorry. It was the technical error. But now I already joined. And first of all, Khanimler, Janabler, Assalamu alaikum. I'm Abuzar Khairi from Hindustan, and I'm very much thankful to the Farghana Daulat University, Eurasian National University, Christ, Ibn Khaldun, Heydar Aliyev, and others also. And some names are there which I can read there. This Amina, Gassanova, Batyrzhan, and of course Akbota. I know you, when you came here in India, your last visit, you have discovered this idea about the Jaddidism, and we discussed long. And you have you evolved this idea to just reorganize the one conference there in the Farghana Daulat University. And of course, Zhakiya and my scholar friend Yasar Sari from, I think he's from Türkiye. I'm very, very much thankful to all of you. You have organized this very important conference in the 21st century about the Jaddidism. I'm just discussing about the origin and development of Jaddidism in Central Asia. First, we have to understand the Central Asian region. The region was the cradle of human civilization on the world map, where several races traveled and established their kingdom from time to time on this region, with the new philosophy and innovative ideas which became the role model for others, such as urban development had started in Central Asian region during the time of Kushan Empire, which was stretched up to the Indus Valley in Punjab in Hindustan. And with the arrival of Islam in the first decade of the 8th century, the area was known as Mawaraun Nahar, became the center of scientific learning and development. They institutionalized the educational system and produced a quite disproportionate number of renowned scholars and scientists such as Ibn Sina, Al-Farabi, Al-Khwarizmi, Imam Bukhari, Imam Tirmizi, Al-Biruni, Ulugh Beg, Ali Sher Nawai, and others also. As we know, all these names which are here, and lot of names are others also. I couldn't include all the names, but these names are, I mean, still today people now they are knowing throughout the world. For example, Ibn Sina, still we are knowing as he's a father of medicine. He has written a book, Al-Qanun, Ash-Shifa, which was prescribed in the European countries till 17th century in the medical sciences. Musa al-Khwarizmi, he is known as father of Al-Jabra, who has written Al-Jabr wal-Khabar. All these kinds of things, Ali Sher Al-Farabi, because Al-Farabi, he was a scholar, he was a philosopher, and in Hindustan, in academy, in Jamia Millia Islamia, we have given one name to our room. This is the Al-Farabi room. There is a one building's name. It is known as Al-Biruni, Ibn Sina block. There are several names which we have also using here. Al-Biruni we know in the 10th century who traveled from that place, Berun, to Hindustan. And that time there was no as such language, there was a language problem. He came and learned the Sanskrit language here, and he has written a Kitabul Hind, which is a marvelous book, and it is an authentic source for just to understand the Indian society and culture. To these, all the scholars, those they belongs to that region. But what happened just after some time? I mean, everything has disappeared. Wow, how? Just we can see the history from the just I'm mentioning about something like, for example, after the invasion of Genghis Khan in 13th century, cities were destroyed, libraries burned, irrigation system demolished, and many craftsmen taken off into slavery, and many peasants fled, and destructions of academic institutions has created a vacuum throughout the Central Asian region. And it was the main cause for economic and cultural backwardness, from which Central Asia for a long time would not recover. During the mid-19th century, Jaddidism had spread with modern education system among the Central Asians for their enlightenment. Within the 2 decades, Jaddidism became a comprehensive movement for modernization of Muslim society in Bukhara. And we are not going to discuss about what happened in the 13th century in the Central Asia. This was the turning point. There's the big, but that's why the people migrated from Central Asian region to the South Asia. And we are knowing there is a lot of scholars, those who are living in since that time. For example, we admitted like Amir Khusru, Bakhtiyar Kaki, he is from Osh. All the Sufi saint and scholars, they came from that region to and they settled here. Anyway, that's what it happened because of the situation. It was created during that time, and the Central Asia, which was the learning center during that time, because one was the Abbasid dynasty there. There were the Batul Hikmah was there, and in Batul Hikmah, every knowledge it was transformed into the one language, and either medicine from China, mathematics, astronomy from India, or Greek philosophy from from Greece. Every knowledge which was scattered throughout the world. The main contribution of the Abbasid dynasty, the whole of the period, they have, collected all the knowledges into one platform, and that is the very important platform which is known as Batul Hikmah. We can translate into English It is the house of wisdom. Anyway, the word Jadid, basically Jadid word, this is an Arabic word, which means new, modern, reform, whatever you can say. So originally, this movement was started in the Volga-Ural region, and their ideology was known as Jaddidism. This, which means modernism, reformism, and initially the Kazan Tatar scholars such as Shahabuddin Marjani, Shamsuddin Kultesi, Muhammad Najib Tanteri, Ziauddin Kamali, Alim Jan Barudi, Musa Jarullah Begiv, Rizauddin Fakhruddin, Abdullah Bubi, Hussain Faiz Khan, Qayyum Nasiri, Zainullah Rasuli, Abdul Rashid Ibrahim, Fateh Karimi, Zahir Bigi, and others had taken the initiative. If I'll not take the name of the Ismail Beg Aspirinsky, my friend who has mentioned Yasir Sari about the contribution of the Ismail Beg Aspirinsky, then it will be injustice from my side. Of course, Ismail Beg Aspirinsky, which Russians are saying Gaspirinsky, Turkish people are saying Gaspirelli, has a special place in national revival and modernization movement among the Muslims of Russia, Central Asia, Caucasia, and the place, other place also. His comprising approach with the Russian administrative bodies facilitated achievement of successful outcomes, both in terms of publications of periodicals and in terms of introducing the new education method into Muslim schools. With the framework of reformation, he had become an ideologue vis-a-vis his educational reform program and publication, which was named as Tarjuman, which was published in dual language, in Turkish as well as in Russian language also. Now, this was the Tarjuman newspaper. And the Jadid movement established schools in Central Asia also. And they used the modern method of instruction, which we are known as Usul-e-Jadid, means new method. Their main aim was to reform the old, means Qadim, system of educational method from the schools and establishing new method schools with modern technology such as publishing house, stage drama, or theater, social, political, and cultural institutions. The movement was created on the educational reform program on the ideas of progressive intellectuals, which is known as Taraqi Parvarlar of Central Asia. The Jadid wanted to modify the educational system in order to train the students with modern modern knowledge and skills and enable them to achieve Western model. This was the spirit of the Usul-e-Jadid. And Jadid set up a new method of his schools to put it into the practice and educate new generations. The movement became a powerful ideological instrument in the field of struggle against political, moral, and technological backwardness of Central Asian people. The same situation we are talking about the Central Asia, the same situation it was implemented in other places also. We are not using here other also like Russia, Caucasia, and other places. Most of the Jadids were products of traditional maktabs, that is, we are knowing schools. There was conflict between Qadim and Jadid, means modern and old. The struggle between the Jadids and supporters of the traditional way was in fact contest between two different understandings of knowledge and its transmission. The maktab emerged in the world of written, not printed text. The European printers were producing books in the Arabic script as early as beginning of the 16th century. And even in the Egypt, when the Napoleon Bonaparte, who came to the Egypt, he has established a printing press there in Cairo. Anyway, this first printing press was established in Central Asia. It was in 1868. This press installed at the Russian military headquarters in Tashkent. these buses, because that time this what you can say, alphabets, Arabic alphabets, they were using, and just to print this Turkestan gadget. It was known as Turkestan gadget. The Jadids, who were profoundly known to be great supporters of the newspapers, belonged to the era of printing press. Their focus was functional literacy and print, which allowed them to not just challenge the authority of Central Asia, well-established cultural elite, but to also take down the monopoly of the traditionally learned authoritative discourse. They used print to their maximum advantage and went beyond the concerns of intellectual lineage. The Jadid project involved nothing less than the redefinition of the social order. By claiming Jadid project involved nothing less than redefinition of the social order by claiming newspapers to the spiritual leaders of society and challenging the elite. In Tashkent, around 13 presses were situated in 1917. Almost 13 presses were established, but no commercial printing presses existed in the Khanates of Bukhara and Khiva. The Amirs of Bukhara, in particular, had become supporter of tradition and conservatism in domestic affairs, were opposed rigidly to the new invention. The Jadids confronted colonialism, and when required in the Governor General of Turkestan, which was under direct Russian administration, and in the entire of Bukhara, which maintained its own governmental institutions under the Russian protectorate. In both areas, our connections with Russia suggested new models of development and raised cultural and moral challenges that called into question questions traditional institutions and values. Jadid constituted a unified movement, being conservatives, radicals, and moderates, and above all, as individuals, each one of them professed their own ideas and culture and identity. Social change, religion, and state. Basically, if we are talking about the what is the role of Jaddidism in the field of educational program. The history of Muslims of Russia and Central Asia, we can say during the time of Ismail Bey Gasprinskis, who has published this Tarjuman. First, he was an editor. It was weekly. Then it was published daily. And the new type of schools of Muslims, which focused on the secular program of instruction. Gasprinski's Tarjuman newspaper was established in 1883 and was printed up to the 1917 to the Bolshevik Revolution era. At the beginning, Gasprinsky launched a Tarjuman to advocate its educational reform program. Nevertheless, the publication of such newspaper read in every Muslim community of the Russian Empire had turned out to be a big reform in itself. Gasprinsky sought out to form a common literary language for all Turkic community in Russian Empire, including Central Asia and other neighboring areas also. The language was used in simple mode of Ottoman Turkish, including Crimean and Turkic expression. The idea of newness was in turn in tune to the modernization and confirmed the Western idea of unidirectional history of image of backward people shedding the Oriental futures of their culture. Gasprinski's new method required the modification of the educational system on the subject of curriculum and system of education. Gasprinsky has introduced usul-e-sawtiya. This is the phonetic method. This is also Arabic word, phonetic method in the school program. Concerning the curriculum, he encouraged the introduction of additional courses such as elementary arithmetic, geography, history, and biological science to the Maktab curriculum. He introduced the educational program in Bakhchi Sarai in 1884 and gained success from very beginning. Sadr Maksudi always remembered Ismail Bey Gaspinsky as his spiritual father for his warmth and sympathy, as well as for his massive role in his intellectual development. Sadr Maksudi traveled in Bukhara, Tashkent, and parts of Turkestan area. And even if we are talking about the education of the for girls, Ismail Bey Gaspinsky's daughter, she had opened one schools especially for the girls, and even in Kazan, there is one madrasa, especially madrasa. I forget the name. Might be Madrasa Muhammadiya. This is especially for girls during that time. I mean, wherever they were very active. They were opening the schools and giving the educational program. What we have in Tashkent, we can say the Manawar Qari. Manawar Qari, the first school was founded by Manawar Qari in 1901. And several hundreds in other places like Bukhara, Samarkand, Tashkent, Kokand, and other places till the First World War. All of them were active. In Bukhara, in 1910, they founded Shirkat-e Bukhara Sharif, the Association of Noble Bukhara, a joint stock company whose sole purpose was to publish textbooks. Among them were Aini. He has written a Tahzibus Sibyan, the education of children, which comprised importance of the education and the role of family learning and empowerment of Zururiyat-e-Deen, the requirements of religion, which presented the fundamental teaching of Islam. Of course, there is a great name, which is known as Abdul Rauf Fitrat. He was one of the greatest ideologues of Bukharan Jaddidism. Graduated from madrasa in Bukhara and went to Turkey for a higher education, where to establish himself along with other Bukharan immigrants and created a Bukhara Tamim-e Ma'arif, benevolent society of Bukhara for the dissemination of knowledge among the masses. And his first book, which was published in 1910 in Istanbul, which was we known as Munazara. Munazara, it means the dispute, discussions between the Bukharan madrasa teacher, especially it was on the Bukharan madrasa teacher and the European and the teacher of the European, and he discussed. And the second book, which was published by the Abdul Rauf Fitrat, this was the Bayanat Sayyah Hindi. It tells of an Indian travelers, and it was published in 1911. Basically, originally it was published in Persian language because Abdul Rauf Fitrat he knew Persian also, Persian, Uzbeki, and several other languages. Of course, Turkish also. And this translation of this book of the Abdul Rauf Fitrat, which was published later on in Russian language also, a translation version. The book is Bayanat Sayyah Hindi, and this was the fictional account of an Indian traveler's visit to major cities of Khanate of Bukhara, where he met people from all walks of life, including ulama, jurist, businessman, craftsman, and peasants, and holding conversations with them. Fitrat described the situation of Bukhara while also highlighting its existing educational institutions. In between, just I'm also mentioning here in India, this was at that time, this educational reform was started among the Muslim community by Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. This was initially Aligarh movement, which is known as today Aligarh Muslim University. And this is a central university here in India. This is a very good university. And when Fitrat returned from Turkey, he played a very active role to a struggle for social, religious, and political reforms in Bukhara, especially in the struggle to establish new methods in school. The Usul-e-Jadid. Being a true enlightener, he was engaged simultaneously in many projects, including social reforms, including social criticism, literary creativity, journalism, and politics. He became one of the most radical Jadid leaders and was called an early critic of Emirate of Bukhara's regime, which he has already depicted in his work Munazara Mudarris Bukhara in 1911. He also led the left wing of the Bukharan Jadid movement. There was they also discuss about the education of the children, Tarbiyat Atfal in Bukhara, and this was he basically promoted the educational reform in Bukhara also, and with 28 members, 14 of whom were ulamas, remained under the dissolution of the April 1917, and their work of enlightenment was treated revolutionary by the then authorities. The association helped students in various ways. And since there was no method madrasa in Bukhara, it undertook to send students to other places such as Orenburg, Kazan, Ufa, Istanbul, and Cairo. And the rulers of Bukhara were modest, inclined towards liberal thought, and the Jadids found encouraging ground only in Russian extraterritorial settlement within the Khanates, such as the city of New Bukhara. In this region, they were protected by the Russia and also with the support Russian diplomatic agent. The new Methodist schools opened in easily. In 1900, the first Ul-Jadid school was opened by Mullah Junabev in Pushtun zone, but it was unsuccessful. Another school was opened in 1902, was by Tatar teacher. His name was Karimov, and the Tatar children of Russian settlement in Bukhara, and the school was closed, but after some time, there was also some problem. Anyway, this the second generation of Jadid movements. If we are talking about the after the second generation, mainly they focused on the basis of the experimental in their literary creativity. Then their elders, for example, Hamza Hakim Zadeh. From a prosperous, he belongs to a prosperous family and was educated in a maktab and madrasa in Konkan, and also attended the Russian native school, where he learned Russian language. He opened numerous new Methodist schools and wrote textbooks for them. He wrote poetry and first Uzbek novel, in addition to plays on reformist and revolutionary themes, thereby becoming the leading playwright of the new Uzbekistan, which our scholar Yasar Sari has also mentioned about. They were talking. He was talking about the prose and poetry and the drama and the theater. All of it was they have developed playwright of the new Uzbekistan. Even Abdullah Qadri studied the traditional schools in Russian native school to learn Russian and was much influenced by the reformist press. He was a prolific writer and the founder of modern Uzbek novel in 1920s. Fazullah also he came to do well-to-do religious family and combined a traditional maktab and education with studies and association with liberal Russian in Moscow before 1917. And Cholpan, of course, Abdul Hamid Suleiman Cholpan. He was born in a wealthy family and prominent family. He received a traditional Islamic education and attended a Russian native school, where he learned Russian, which, as gratefully acknowledged, opened European literature and culture to him. His thought is clear throughout his poetry and prose. Mahmud Khwaja Behboudi was the most prominent figure among the Jadids. He came from a rich family and, being the son of a mufti, was well educated in both religious as well as secular subjects. And later, after his father, he had traveled extensively, several places. There's a literary programs and publications. It was which was, I mean, taken by the Jadid movement. After the Russian conquest in Central Asia, the first printing press, which I mentioned about the 1868, it was established in Tashkent, and press was the printed books was imported mainly from India, Ottoman Empire, and Cairo, and some other places also. For example, I think in Iran also. The new system of education required revised textbooks, and Jadids were accountable for literary output in all genres all genres during the end of the regime or end of old regime. Two new fields of local publishing trade came up during the time: textbook for new methods, school, and new literature, free and old literary traditions, and illuminating new ideas. The new textbooks appeared in the early 20th century on the pattern of modern Tatar models, introduced a new kind of children's literature in Central Asian maktab. The first Jadid publications, which was published in Tashkent in Turkic language, among them were very important personality. His name was Munawwar Khairi, which he published in Khurshid's was published in 1906. Abdullah Unani's Shohrat, which was published in 1907, and several others books. It was published in 1912 after 4 years. There was a Amir's the one newspaper. It was named as Bukhara Sharif. It was published in Tajik for the Tajik region. It was true organs of enlightenment, informing its readers about the wide range of topics. Almost they dealt everything. But we have to now. I will discuss something about what happened. They covered all the aspects of the Jadid at a time of. We can say they talked about other things also. For example, they spoke about the millet, means the nation, and sometimes they applied the term to the Muslims of Central Asia, and sometimes more narrowly to the Muslims of Turkestan. Thus, at the first, ethnic identities were encompassed by the broader Muslim community. For example, the history taught in the new methods schools was Islam, not of Turks and Turkestan, and the language was called Musulman Tili, Muslim language. That it was in that time. This was used by the Jadids when they talked about the millet. And many Jadids also they use the word watan, means I think you can understand watan. Watan, millet, yes, and which traditionally had referred to one's birthplace. This is the concept of the watans, and that is in a city or region. But increasingly, after 900, it designated a larger territory united by a common culture. In Chalpons, Dr. Muhammad Yar, and in the works of Aulani and Hamza, Watan meant Turkestan, which now the Yasir Sari, he was also talking about about the Turkestan. And today, also the modern in the 21st century and the age of era of technology, we can say that now the Kazakhstan is also talking about the Turkestan and other, because it covers all the areas. And ethnic differentiation was also present in thought of many Jadids, as they identified the Muslims of Turkestan as Turks, thereby excluding the Tajiks. This was it was in that time. Anyway, Jadid, this is another part of the very, I will conclude, Akbota, because the Jadid, what is the Jadid during the time of Bolshevik Revolution? During the time of Bolshevik, Central Asia was in turmoil situation. They were decisive for Jadids as a revolution change in very character for their project. The era of classical Jaddidism was at an end. In the previous decade, they had acted as small intellectual elite. Now, they were forced to adjust their program and methods and demands of mass political and social struggle. They had not only to confront the Amir and the conservative ulama, but also to maneuver among the competing Russian political forces in Tashkent and other cities also. As their involvement in the affairs of the new Russian dependent political activism became the defining features of Jaddidism, and a new men came to the fore. One of them was Fazullah Khozayev, who renounced Jaddidism in favor of revolutionary change. We have Russian Revolution, and then we have. I'm not going to be discuss here so many things because of the several newspapers like the publications. We discuss about the Tarjuman. There is a one newspaper. It was named as namely we are knowing as Waqt. It was published from Orenburg, Irshad and Hayat from Baku, and of course all these newspapers, and this was circulated everywhere in Tashkent, Bukhara, and Samarkand, everywhere. But during the time after the 1917, after the Bolshevik Revolution, Jadid participated in the reconstruction of Central Asia under Soviet patronage, but they could not reconcile their own aspiration with the demands of the new regime. Sadruddin Aini, he came from the modest family, and he was only one Jadidist who survived, because all of them, they were either killed by the by the Soviet regime because of the in 1930s, and all of them, they were known as young Bukharan. And this was young Bukhara, and it was that time it was it was very famous. And during the time of Stalin's Soviet regime widened on all fronts of the 1930s and assumed violent forms. Munawwar Qari, Cholpan, Qadri, Tawalla, Haji Muin, and Ubaidullah Khuzaev all disappeared in the Gulag in 1930s. But by 1938, when Fitrat was executed, and Fazullah Khozaev, most famously of them all, mounted the podium at the Great Purge trial in Moscow as part of the anti-Soviet bloc of the rightists and Trotsky to face the fatal charges of counter-revolution and anti-Soviet activity. The Jadid generation had been eliminated. They were replaced by new generation whose education and worldview have been shaped entirely within the Soviet context. Only as I mentioned the name Sadruddin Aini, he alone survived. And everybody, where they disappeared, nobody knows. In between, and just I'm mentioning two names. It is a very famous name, Jadid, very famous Jadid. Jadid belongs to Jadid movement. For example, Zaki Walidi Tokan, Zaki Walidi Togan, who belongs to the Bashkortostan, and his village is Ishimbai, of course, the bordering area of the Kazakhstan that side, and he flew from his country, and that time he went to Turkey, and Turkey accepted him, and then he established a very good school there in Turkish. And he supported the Turkish language and others because of his caliber. And one example I am giving you, Musa Jarullah Begiv. Musa Jarullah Begiv, basically he was from Rostov-on-Don, and he was active in Jaddidism. And during the time of course, in 1930s and Stalin's time, he left his country and he went to Japan, and from Japan he came to Hindustan. But finally he was arrested by the British Army in Peshawar. But on the request of the Nawab Bhopal, to the British Army, he requested to hand over Musa Jarullah Begiv to just to give to us, and he was in house arrest in Sheesh Mahal in Bhopal. He was there, and he has written one book also there, because his book's name was Kitabus Sunnah, and he used a different name. Sometimes he used his name Fatima Bibi, Ibn Fatima, like different name he used, Musa Jarullah Beki, because he was afraid from the Soviet army also. And then very interesting, I belong to this university where the Jamia Millia Islamia, it was established in 1920, and when it going to be celebrated silver jubilee in 1946. On the request of Dr. Zakir Hussain. Zakir Hussain, he was a rector of that time of this university, and later on he became the president of India also. And Dr. Zakir Hussain requested Musa Jarullah Begiv just to send some written educational reform program for this university. And he has written around the 50 pages on the educational curriculum program of this university, and still it is which was published after translation in Urdu language in one journal, and still it is here in the archives, and we used to use sometimes. So this is the how the Jadid, their role, they were the role model for others, and they have went, they have contributed his academics contribution either in Turkey or in India. I don't know about the other places, might be. But what happened during the time of the Soviet, it was almost nobody were talking about this, about the Jadid movement, about the Jaddidism. But with the interest, it was when the perestroika, it was introduced in 1980s during the time of Gorbachev. Now the people they have started to talk about the Jaddidism, and after that in 1991, when the Soviet Union disintegrated and these countries got independence, and they have put their name, like every country has put their name Astan. And they use, now they are talking about the Jaddidism, and they are talking everywhere now. They are discussing about their contributions, and they are about how they played important role in throughout the literature, throughout the literary program, and about the educational reform program. And it was a very important, as of course, and I basically, I'm a student of the Central Asian region, Russia and Caucasia, and since 3 decades. I'm trying to just to explore new areas, new ideas. And obviously, I not compare myself to others. Of course, in this field of Adib Khalid, he's a renowned figure. about the. He talked in his book about the adab, about all the aspect of the Jaddidism and Jaddid movement. Anyway, there's so many things I couldn't discuss about here because of the time. Of course, others are also waiting. There, I have seen the several names are there in the program list. My colleague from Turkey, Yasar Sari, is also waiting. I know he's also expert in the Jaddidism, and he knew the Turkish language. I don't know the Turkish language. My source is secondary source. Honestly, I'm speaking. I'm secondary sources. When I used to go to Kazakhstan with the help of Dr. Akbota, and I visited the museum and National Library, where I collected some materials, and I noted and in my diary, like Abhay Punayev and others also. And like the same things when I used to go to the Bishkek also, I collected so many things, and then I visited the place of the scholars where we are knowing as like the Aulia Ata. So that is the thing I can understand about the why the Chinggis at Matab, how he changed his all the the writings. This is all but now we can freely we can talk here, and we can discuss about in every aspect we can discuss. And with these words, I'm thankful to all of you, those who listen very patiently. And might be there is some mistake in pronunciation or some expression. Anyway, thank you very much, Akbota, and others also. Now it's
Thank you.
up to you.
Thank you so much, Abuzar Saab. Actually, we are here not running for the minutes. We are not competing with time, since we cannot, we are not able to gather such a wonderful gathering of scholars all together. And as the main target of today's conference is to come with something good and useful for us, for the history, then we are not limiting. So your expertise is important. It is precious. And more than that, it motivates, because we do have young scholars here who are to be motivated and to understand that we are one. And my recent visit to India just proved that we, Turks of Central Asia, Iranians, Afghanis, and Hindustanis are more separated than it is understood by Indian scholars. Professor Vageshwari from from Christ University in Bangalore proved that they see us just as one civilization, which we do not see actually. And the important thing in all of this is to change the mind of our scholars. And we are actually living in a beautiful time for the Central Asia. My grandfather was fortunate to see Bay Mirza Hayat with his own eyes. And Bay Mirza Hayat told him that when we created this Turkestan Republic, we were not Kazakhs or Uzbeks or Bashkorts or Tatars. We were one Turks, one Turkestanis. And it is still quite painful. Like, Chulpan is not known much in Central Asia, as he is shown in Türkiye. Somehow at the latest time he became known to Uzbeks, but still. And Chulpan said that al bayrağını, kalbin uyansın, kulluk asorat barçası yansın. Kur yangi davlat evler urtansın, usip Türkistan kaddın kutarsın. yayrab, yaşnab öz vatanın gül bayrağında. That means like take your flag in your hand and make your vatan, which you were using the word, the Bach full of flowers. We are coming to this time. There are also many things that we can say, but of course, it is a great chance to listen to our brother, our friend Yasar Sarı's presentation. And not only Yasar Sarı knows Turkish, he is fluent in Kyrgyz, Uzbek, and Kazakh. Yasar, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Akbota, for your nice word. Thank you for Professor Abuzar Khairi. Sorry if I mispronounce your last name, but you generally summarized the Jaddid movement. I mean, talk about the main figures of the Jaddid and how the Jaddid ideas spread the other part. I will not repeat what you mentioned. I will try to add more things. First, of course, Jaddid movement is started in Russian Tsarist Empire among the especially Tatar scholars, Merjani and others. But the main figure of the Jaddid movement is the Ismail Gasparalı or Gasperinsky Ismail. Ismail Gasparalı, when he published Tercüman newspaper, he also wrote about the Central Asia, I mean today's Central Asia, and the intellectuals. One of the books about he translated Alişir Navai's Muhakemetul Lugateyn book, and he published that one in today Crimea. And then he also wrote about the Türkistan uleması, means that Turkistani scholar of the Turkistan. So that way he connected his idea, not just only Crimea or Tatars in Kazan region or the Turks who are living under the Ottoman Empire, but also Turkistani region, which is that time is called. When we're looking at the Jadids, especially Uzbek Jadid, we can divide them in three different time periods. One is the reformist thinking, starting from the 1868 to 1905. This is the 1868 as the Russian Tsarist Empire started occupying the Turkestan region. Already they captured the Tashkent and started moving and started pressuring the Bukhara Emirate and Hokan and Hiva Khanates. And then this time, which we see the Mahdum Danish, the Uzbek, see that something is need to change. Turkistani people are left behind. I mean, the European civilization changed the world, and European already started to colonize the different part of the world. And he think how he thought that how can improve the condition in Turkestan and today Uzbekistan, of course. So he said that okay, need to be open the school. There is already madrasas giving the education, but that education is the religious education, and especially last 300 years madrasa education left is the math and natural science art from the curriculum. So he said that this we need put this in education. And he believed that the only way to compete or reach the European civilization level, learning Russian too. So but when he was doing this one, he was thinking that to be in the same level with the European, need to accept good part of the European civilization. He already saw that European civilization has bad part, colonizing the people, exploiting the people from different parts of the world. But he said that, okay, there are some good parts. Educational part is a good one. Let's take it. This idea is, of course, Gus probably started the Jaddid school and so on. Then in 1905, when the first Russian Revolution, I mean the Russian protesters in St. Petersburg tried to express their satisfaction on the socio-economic condition and political condition too. The Russian Tsarist Empire lost the war against Japan. If we excluding Ottoman Empire, the first time after the Genghis Khan, the one Western power lost the war against the one Eastern power. So that is the 1905 opening more liberal reforms done. Some of them took back by the Russian government. This is the give opportunity to new intellectuals emerge in Turkestan. These intellectuals mainly carrying idea of the independency, sovereignty, the concepts. And they also took example from the revolution happened in Iran in 1907 and in Ottoman Empire in 1908. So some of them educated in Turkey, like the Fırtrat, Cholpan. Some of them being in Istanbul, and also some of them educated under the Jaddid school. Bahbudi, Münevver Khairi, Osman Hoca, Abdurrauf Fıtrat, Feyzullah Hoca, later we will see him too. Abdulhamid Cholpan, Sadreddin Ayni is among the leading Uzbek, the Jaddid. Their idea is they continue the first group of the Jaddid intellectuals at the opening school, but also they were politically active people. They have the more progressive idea, and they established media, newspaper in Tashkent, Bukhara, and they were anti-colonial against the Russian Tsarist Empire. And they believed that only way to overcome this colonial empire to informing the public, make the public to be active and challenge the government. So that way, they provided this assistance. And when the 1970 revolution happened in Russia, these Jaddid leader find the opportunity to even establishing short-lived Turkestani state and in the region, but did not continue long. The third stage is the socialist. Some of the Jaddids, not all of them, had a tendency on the socialist ideology. The reason is that they saw that socialist ideology having a progressive ideas, and let's not forget forget Lenin published a booklet is called the Self-Determination. Means that all non-Russians, you can get your independence, you can establish your own state. So some of the Jaddids who were carrying the progressive ideology for the socio-economic issues believed that one, and they cooperated with the Bolsheviks. They fought against not only against the Tsarist white armies, but also against the Basmaji and other movement in the region too. But their collaboration with the Bolshevik, they couldn't save them when the Stalin decided to eliminate them. Stalin accused the Jaddid intellectuals as a servant of the bourgeois, nationalist, anti-revolutionary nationalist, and people enemy. And as we know, between 1934 to 1938, Stalin eliminated all Jadids in Uzbekistan, in Kyrgyzstan. Among them is the Cengiz Aytmatov's father, and also Alash Orda leader intellectuals, which their view is close to Jadid. Some of them even the part of the Turkestani state, like the Mustafa Chokayev, we should say. So this is the repression, red extinction, annihilation happened to Jadid movement. But this is not ending the Jadid struggle. How? I mean, the Jadid ideology still stay among the public, among the intellectuals. Mainly, those are ideas the used in literature is developed. Of course, the center of this idea is the today Uzbekistan, and Uzbekistan carrying a mission. What kind of mission? If you're looking at today's Central Asia, it's historical city, Tashkent, Samarkand, Bukhara, Hiva, all in Uzbekistan. The others, as secondary, we can call them, is the other part of the. So the center is here. And also, the Uzbekistan has a strong civilizational identity, sometimes called the Venice, the Enlightenment. This is I think, the American anthropologist Frederick Starr published a book. The book title is The Lost Enlightenment. He described the 9th, 10th, 11th centuries Turkic Islamic civilization, which is emerged here, like the Professor Abuzar Khairi is mentioned, is the Avicenna, Ibn Sina, Biruni, and other scholars at that time. So that is the center, is the today Uzbekistan. So that civilization identity is strong in Uzbekistan. For that reason, recently, I'm following some Uzbek scholars writing, and they describe if we need to talk about any identity related to Turkestan or Turkestani identity, need to start from the Uzbekistan. And that is until recently, this to emphasizing this Turkestani identity, to creating a more broader political identity, not used by the Uzbek government, especially under the Islam Kerimov. So Kerimov first to create a national state and to strengthen his authority within the state. But after the Shavkat Mirziyoyev came to power, he opened more its relation with the neighboring country, and they started emphasizing this Turkestani, the common civilization, especially Kazakh, Kyrgyz, even Turkmen, and also started having the close relation with Türkiye. That is the where they find the identity. This is the international relation theories. We are IR scholars. We're talking about when we are talking about the different theories. One theory is emphasizing the relation between identity, security, and interest. So there is triangle relation. So identity part, Turkey and the Central Asian state, plus Azerbaijan, is coming from the similar language. I mean, even though today we call the Uzbek, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Azeri, and so on, they are origin from the one stream. So this is the one starting point. If you're looking at the rule, grammatical rule, you can see the similarities. And a lot of vocabularies are similar too. So one is that one, and they realize that the interest, political and economic interest, making these countries pushing these countries to act together. We are not the liberal international order is declining. new order is coming, and mainly this order based on the regional affiliation. The regional groups, European Union already succeeded at a certain level, and we see the Southeastern Asian countries are working on it. And the Central Asian state, including Uzbekistan, realize that they need to act together if they want to be a powerful actor, or if you want to defend their national interests, not only regional interest, the national interest. So that way they find this collective identity a starting point. For that reason, when in November 2021, when they established a new organization called the Organization of the Turkic State. So that is again, this Jadid, going back to, I'm completing my presentation, Jadid scholars play a very important role to creating the intellectual mindset and creating a cognitive map, which we are today following. And hopefully this regional collaboration and cooperation increase, as Professor Abuzar Khairi emphasized, not staying in that regional level, but the more international level, where they can find a common point, common interest, mutual interest, so that way to act together and create a more peaceful world. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Yasar, for this wonderful presentation. I would like not to correct you, but to note you said that we speak similar languages originated from the same theme. But, you know, I do not like citing presidents, but President Tokayev, with all the things which he is criticized now, he said one great word in 2021 in Russia on Valdai Forum, I believe, when he was asked, how do you define like Kazakh from Uzbek from Kyrgyz? Do you see like them, how you can define them or not? And then he like very long he was answering as a diplomat about all this like other people or ex-Soviet Union. And then they said, I will open a secret for you. We 4 out of 5 Central Asian republics speak our dialect of Turkish language. And first time after we gained independence, and it is understood that Karimov and Nazarbayev needed time for nation building, as you just mentioned, but he said that we are not using, we are not speaking different languages. There is no such thing as Kazakh or Uzbek language. We are using dialect. And even Turkologists now, they proved that Dede Korkut was not written in Oghuz language or Kıpçak language, but it was written in Oghuz Kıpçak language. There is no such a thing as Oghuz and Kıpçak. This is one Turk language. And this is important. And I just wanted to tell, like, here, electricity is gone for the last 2 hours, and it's extremely cold. But I remembered another pre-Jadid. Let us call him pre-Jadid, Ibray Altınsarın from Kazakhstan, when he said, bir Allah'a sığınıp, kel balalar okulut. Bir Allah'a sığınıp was taken out of this because Soviets took it out.
Yeah, of course.
Оқысаңдар балалар, шамнан шырақ жағылар, іздегенің алдыңнан іздемей ақ табылар. With belief to Allah, children, let's go and study. And if you will be study, if from the sham will come the light, and whatever you are not searching for will come in front of you. So we are still, I'm waiting for the light to come to feel my like more warm, but I believe that this great warmness will be brought from Iran. And let me tell you that for many years I am associated with the University of Alame Tabatabai in Tehran, and especially our friend Mandana Tishayar is the figure, like the person there, the key person. So they have an idea in order not to define much like Iran Zamin, Turan Zamin, Persians from Turks, Turks from Persian. But they are asking to call us all Norus civilization. So I would like to give the floor to our friend, a new friend, and I guess this friendship will be very fruitful. The associate professor from Tehran University, Dr. Godarz Rashtiani, with his presentation on Persian historiography in Central Asia during Tsarist period. He studied Tarihi Jadidi Tashkent. Rashtiani, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Akbota, for your warm words. Hello to our colleagues, and thank you to the organizers of this conference, especially Farghaneh Dawlat University and other institutions. The topic of my speech focuses on introducing one of the most important historiographical sources of Central Asia at the beginning of the Russification process of this region, especially in Uzbekistan. In fact, it is very important to know the situation of historiography in Central Asia, especially in Khanat of Bukhara and Khanat of Fuqand, before of the Tsarist Russia domination. With this knowledge, it is possible to better understand the change that the domination of Tsarist Russia and Russification made on the historiography situation in Central Asia, and to achieve a better understanding of modernity and Jaddidism movement in this region. We know that with the establishment of the Safavid government in Iran and its approximate simultaneity with the establishment of the Shaybani dynasty or Abul Khair Khanian in Bukhara, despite long competition and wars, bilateral cultural relations and bilateral civilizational influences were taking their course and continued apart from political relations. One of the field of these cultural relations was historiography in Central Asia in the 16th to 19th century, where the Persian language and Persian sources played an important role in the continuity of historiography in Central Asia. Tarikh Jadidi Tashkent, the modern history of Tashkent, is one of the examples of these two-way cultural relations. It was written at the same time as Russian domination in Central Asia in the second half of the 19th century in Tashkent in Persian language. Muhammad Saleh Khojeh Tashkandi was born in Tashkent in 1830, and in his life he experienced the period of the rule of Muhammad Ali Khan Khugandi until the last Khan of Khugand Khanat. He is one of the most influential scholars of Tashkent and the teacher of Sayyid Khudayar Khan school, and some of boys of Khan was also among his students. At the age of 36, in 1866, Khwaja Tashkandi was present in Battle of Tashkent and entered the battlefield. Hence, a complete description of important historical event of Tashkent before the war and during the war with the Russians, and after the capture and domination of Tashkent by the Russians, as well as the sense he is narrating the war in which he was present and witnessed. According to the tradition of the historiography, he was writing a history from Hazrat Adam to his own time, which is about half of the book, which starts with the history of the Prophet and ends with the history of the sultans of the Khugand Emirat or Khugand Khanat. To write the first part of this book, which is related to the previous history, Khaja Tashkandi, according to his own writing, used historical sources such as Tarikh Qaisari, Tarikh Al Osman, Tarikh Jahangushay, Zafarnameh Teimuri, Rozat al-Safa, Tarikh Sayyid al-Raqib, تاریخ مقیم خانی، تاریخ بابر خانی، عجایب الطبقات، تاریخ نادرشاهی، تحفت الخانی، تاریخ شهرخ خانی، دیوان مناقب حضرت خواجه احرار، تاریخ جامع تواریخ، تاریخ فرشته اکبر شاهی، India, مفتاح التواریخ، مطلع العلوم and تاریخ مولانا اشاق کاسانی and other sources. He continued his history writing until the age of 54 by 1884 and wrote a history of Farghane Vali, the political, cultural, social, and religious situation and customs, as well as natural and unnatural events, and the political relation of Khugand Khanate with the Russian and other emirats and other governments, as well as the sovereign policy. And he has described the Russians and the situation of city of Tashkent about this period, and has written the role of the political actors of Khugand Emirate on the eve of the Russian invasion. This book is also noteworthy in terms of identity issues. In this book, a useful representation of the historical identity of Uzbekistan has been made in Mavaronar of Central Asia. A new identity that begins with Chengiz Khan, Babur Khan, and Amir Temur, and continues with the Khans of the Ming's dynasty in Khogand Emirate and the emirs of Manqit dynasty in the Emirate of Bukhara. The three figures of Chengiz, Babur, and Amir Temur play a very important role in the history of identity formation, and Muhammad Saleh Khoje pays special attention to Amir Temur in his history. The most important part of the book is the events between 1850 to 1887 in Tashkent, because Muhammad Saleh was present in important government meetings and meetings of Tashkent elders, and even meeting of Russians with the Tashkent Khojes and the peace treaty assembly and General Cherniayev meeting with Tashkent elders. He has narrated those meetings in his history. By reading this book, it becomes clearer how Central Asia developed in the second half of the 19th century at the same time as the rule of the Russians. The most valuable events in this book include the Battle of Tashkent in 1868. Khaja Tashkandi was present in the sense and narrated the events he saw with his own eyes, and showed such skill in this work that the reader of the text can imagine himself in that scene. Khaja Tashkandi paid great attention to the collecting and the news of his time and validating it, and emphasizes that he didn't pay attention to external circumstances in his history. In addition to being a scholar of religious sciences and seminary teachers, he also had the great comment over Persian poetry and literature, such as writing a poem called and the share of Sadi, Hafiz and Ferdowsi and others. Muhammad Saleh showed a correct understanding of his time and had a true understanding of political and the social condition of his time. Khaja Tashkandi expresses this dissatisfaction with the way of governance of the Khanat and believes the operation that the rulers and the governors has done to people of the region. On the other hand, he evaluates the invasion of the Russian in Central Asia differently from the attacks that were made in the history of Farghane Valley and even from the campaigns of Khan Bukhara to territory of Khoqand Emarat. It is well understood that the Russian attack to Tashkent is different from all previous historical attacks. His approach in the history is a socio-political approach, and he has paid attention to the contemporary history of various ethnic groups, especially the Uzbeks. The author information about the weather, agricultural situation, social situation, and even the biography in the chapters of the book has doubled its importance. There are many interesting points and suitable hints in the approach of the book to the people and the other ethnic groups living in this area, like Qipchaks, Bukharians, Khwarezmian, Turkmens, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and other peoples in Farghane, Samarkand, and other ethnic groups, and it can be measured and analyzed with the current social atmosphere of this region. It was a very, very briefly presentation about the Tarikh Jadidi Tashkent, and thank you very much for your this very interesting conference. And I am sorry that I am leaving the conference. I should get to my class. The students are waiting, and see you inshallah after 1 hour here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Godarz. Your expertise is very valuable. Thank you so much. Then, as we will see after 1 hour, then without the further introduction, I would like to give the floor to our Uzbek colleague, to Bahodirjon Ganiyev and Malika Ganiyeva, and from Fergana State University. Bahodirjon is the head of the Department of Social Science of the university, and Malika is currently a PhD candidate from the same university, and they will talk about Jaddidism and gender issues. Bahodir just told me that he will speak in Russian. So I will, or our students who are here, Amina, Zhakiya, Batyrzhan, will help with the translation. Bahodirjon, söz кезегі sizde.
Ассаламу алейкум. Здравствуйте, good day. Я очень рад встретиться сегодня в таком формате, и поднятая проблема, тематика сегодняшней конференции, я думаю, очень актуальна на сегодняшний день. И тема моей сегодняшней нашего тезиса является джадидизм и гендерное равенство, то есть роль джадидизма и джадидов в развитии гендерного равенства в Средней Азии и, можно сказать, в дальнейшем и в странах, можно сказать, ближнего, можно сказать, исламского мира. Можно продолжать?
Я думаю, ладно, давайте я
Сначала.
переведу. Bahodirjon is greeting the participants of today's conference, and the speech, as the speech is dedicated to gender equality of Turkestan, and it was not only important for the Turkestan area, but abroad as well.
И сегодня я хотел бы остановиться на том, что, можно сказать, джадиды в начале 20 века внесли новый, можно сказать, порядок, новую культуру жизни и новую, можно сказать, жизнь женщинам именно Средней Азии. Вы знаете, что на территории Средней Азии до 20 века, можно сказать, развивалась по исламским канонам, и на территории среднеазиатского региона было, можно сказать, полигамное отношение, и, можно сказать, роль женщины была именно только как бы сохранение очага в семье, а остальные, можно сказать, общественные, культурные и социальные, можно сказать, равенства были очень ущемлены. И с приходом джадидизма, можно сказать, открылась новая эпоха в развитии именно освобождения или, можно сказать, новая ветвь развития равенства в Средней Азии. И с начала 20 века женщины, можно сказать, им дали право учиться. И можно у нас в 1917 году в Туркестанском крае был принят закон, который, можно сказать, запрещал полигамию, то есть многоженство. И наряду с этим были, можно сказать, даны много прав политических, социальных. И далее, можно сказать, вот мы на сегодняшний день, как мы видим, и экономические, и предпринимательские права женщин. И на сегодняшний день, я думаю, эта тенденция растет. И в будущем, я думаю, именно джадиды в Средней Азии, это, можно сказать, где-то более 50 лет раньше, чем была принята, например, резолюция Организации Объединенных Наций о гендерном равенстве, в Средней Азии эту проблему, можно сказать, решали намного раньше. И это было очень актуально. И я как думаю, можно сказать, рассмотреть как мировой опыт именно развития, можно сказать, развития, возникновения гендерных отношений. И они, я думаю, джадиды в лице таких, можно сказать, представителей джадидов, как...
Можно я переведу, да? Когда
Да.
был принят этот закон, запрещающий полигамность?
В 1917 году в Туркестанском крае.
Let me then translate. As it is a common knowledge that women in Central Asia and actually family standards were according to Sharia laws, and there was a polygamy. And what Jadid said, that they not only gave the right to study to the woman, but also in 1917, the law prohibiting polygamy was accepted, or like came to life in Turkestan. And professor is underlining that 50 years prior to United Nations, Turkestan brought up the ideas of the equality of the ladies by taking the law, the factual law. Да, пожалуйста.
Также можно на сегодняшний день рассмотреть, что проблема именно гендерного равенства, она актуальна не только в Средней Азии, я думаю, на всем Ближнем Востоке, именно, вот, например, и в Индии, и в других, можно сказать, восточных странах, потому что в этих странах можно сказать, не одинаково рассматривается гендерное равенство, легализация их прав, политических, экономических, социальных прав. И я думаю, например, на примере, я изучал развитие гендерного равенства и в Индийском регионе. И там, можно сказать, можно привести пример слова Индира Раджива Ганди, что самая хорошая инвестиция – это инвестиция в образование дочерей. Значит, дочерей, то есть основателей культуры, основателей нации. И поэтому у нас тоже в Узбекистане на сегодняшний день эта политика поддерживается нашим президентом Шавкатом Мирамоновичем, нашим правительством. И, можно сказать, за последние 5 лет были проведены очень глобальные реформы в отношении гендерного равенства женщин. И на сегодняшний день, я думаю, опыт Узбекистана очень может быть интересным, потому что на сегодняшний день в Узбекистане женщинам дается очень большая поддержка. Есть поддержка государства во всех сферах, в социальной, в экономической. Вот, например, в образовательной сфере магистратуру, любая девушка, поступившая в магистратуру, затраты за контракты полностью государство оплачивает. И вот эта политика на сегодняшний день является одной из приоритетных. И я думаю, именно как Узбекистан, можно сказать, одной из родины джадидизма в Средней Азии, является, как бы сказать, достойным, например, является достойным, как можно сказать, наследником, является достойным наследником именно джадидизма. И сегодняшний день эти аспекты еще не очень, как бы сказать, исследованы, потому что у нас основные источники по джадидизму на сегодняшний день находятся за пределами Узбекистана. И поэтому, я думаю, сегодняшняя конференция, это, я думаю, первый шаг нашего плодотворного сотрудничества и развития и изучения этой тематики. Я думаю, это будет, как бы сказать, на постоянной основе, можно сказать, можно не в год, а можно какие-то квартал или каждые 6 месяцев мы можем обмениваться нашими знаниями, нашим опытом. И я думаю, в будущем это будет проявляться в опубликовании трудов в базах Скопуса или монографии или других каких-то положений. Это, я думаю, будет очень полезно нашей молодежи и не только Средней Азии, а вообще, я думаю, в мировом сообществе. Большое спасибо еще раз, что дали мне такую возможность встретиться сегодня с таким научным, можно сказать, сообществом. Очень было приятно послушать лекции наших профессоров. И это было очень для меня познавательно. И я думаю, это было взаимно.
Спасибо, Bahodirjon. Let me now translate the extract of the speech, not the whole one. Well, it is a common knowledge, well known, that gender issues are not like studied equally or adequately in all the countries of Central Asia. There are differences, but I would like to cite Rajiv Gandhi's speech that the best investment is in the investment of the education of the daughters. And today's Uzbekistan internal policy is showing and that Uzbekistan is a good, took this wonderful heritage of Jadids, of supporting ladies, for example, and many steps were taken in the last 5 years. And for example, in Uzbekistan, if the girl would like to study, her master courses are covered 100% by the government. So again, Professor is saying that Uzbekistan is the motherland of Jaddidism. Unfortunately, the difficulties of making a concise study of Jaddidism, its issues, its future, and so on, is that most of the sources are abroad. They are not in Uzbekistan. They are not in the other countries of so-called Turkestan. So we believe that together with our wonderful friends, scholars from abroad, and who also presented today, we can do much more. And this cooperation can come out as in a form of monographs, collective monographs, Scopus articles, and to underline this thing, to emphasize the question of issuing something with the name of Scopus, although we don't know how does it talk about the science, but our friend from the university, Christ University in Bangalore, Dr. Anurag Tripathi, I guess will take all the issue of preparing this monographs and making it as a Scopus monograph. He's brilliant in that, and he has a public presentation for today with the topic of cross-cultural intellectual exchange, exploring influence of Jaddidism in Central Asia on educational reform in India. And thank you again, Bahodirjon. Anurag,
Thank you
the
very
floor
much.
is yours.
Thank you very much. See you. You are welcome.
Welcome
Thank
to
you.
Ferhana, right?
Yeah. Welcome to Fergana, to Uzbekistan, to Central Ocean.
He is the key person to invite you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Am I audible? Am I audible, Akbota?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me first. And I think all the universities which are attached with this particular conference, I'm privileged and honored for inviting me here to discuss such an important topic. I was listening and learning from seniors, professors about Jaddidism, and what I decided to bring in this particular paper, try to find out Indian scholars who were influenced by the Jaddidism and how they executed reform in India. Generally, I consider in Western countries, whatever reform took place, that was accounted very well. Rather, in Eastern part of the world, I realized a lot of things are missing and people are not able to consolidate in a proper manner, in an academic manner. And that's why I try to identify some of the scholars and try to highlight that why it is required we have to discuss in Eastern world order also about the things which took place and reform the things in our part of the world. And in that context, what I just focus on Jaddidism influence in education reform in India. And I'm not going to the core values of Jaddidism that I already discussed. Previous scholars already pointed out. So I'm not going to focus on all these things. Maybe I can highlight some of the Indian aspect which discuss about the secularization of education, vernacular education, gender equality, modern pedagogy. All these are part of core value of Jaddidism, which are also somehow influence in Indian education system also. Rather, what I decided, I took 4 scholars to discuss about how the idea of Jaddidism is influence Indian scholars. And I took the scholar like Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. I took the scholar who was the first Education Minister of India, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. I took the scholar who is actually from Pakistan side, but his influence in 1930s was great, and that is Alma Mashriki, and obviously Tagore. I took these 4 scholars whose writings, whose academic work influence Indian academia, Indian education system. and through in context of Jaddidism. So I try to mention all these things. Start with the Sir Syed Ahmad Khan and Abuzar sir already mentioned about Sir Syed Ahmad Khan and his writings and how he tried to reform Indian education system and what is his vision. Actually, his very interesting writing is there that is coming to the monthly magazine which he started, that is known as Tahjeeb ul Aql. It was a regular monthly magazine where he discussed about the reform in education system, especially in Indian Muslim education system. And he tried to discuss about the how we can bring scientific learning and modern education with our education system. It is not eradicate our education system, rather parallel we can carry both the education system. We can bring the modern education and scientific learning with our school of education system which we are following. He was always admirer of Western knowledge alongside with the traditional Islamic studies also. He wants to develop curriculum in the way which can skill the new generation, and that way his influence reflected in education system also. He established Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College that is now known as Aligarh Muslim University, and the Jaddist ideals he fostered and tried to you can say that convey in young scholars and young Indian intellectuals to inculcate these ideas together and try to bring a education curriculum which can help new generation. So that Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's role is very important when it is coming to the Jaddidism and its influence in Indian education system. Another important personality which I want to focus, that is the Maulana Kalam Azad, who was first education minister of India, and he wrote a lot. If you see his writings, basic concept of Quran, Hubare Khatir, Darse Wafa, India Wins Freedom, all these his work always you can see, you will get the context which discuss about the how to reform the education system. And he was also highly influenced by the Jaddist ideology, and he always focus on how we can bring the new structure, new scientific structure in our model of education, which is somehow missing. He mentioned about the social justice, communal harmony, women's education, which are part of larger Jaddist movement. And his focus is always that how we can make advanced and progressive Islamic thought in India. So that is another important scholar which whose work is very substantial when it is coming to the Jaddist influence in Indian academia. Another important scholar which I want to mention, his name is Allama Marshiki, who is actually a mathematician and from now in Pakistani part, but he actually mentioned about he was a founder of one particular movement in 1930 that is known as a Khaksar movement, and this movement actually played a very important role in reforming education system in India during that time. And he mentioned about why modern education and scientific knowledge is very important. In that particular, in his movement also, he mentioned about the gender equality, social justice, communal harmony, and that reflect in modern day Indian education. I think one of the important personality which is not known, lesser known in academia, but his influence in 1930s and how he brought the idea of Jaddist movement in India and how he put forward, that is very important. Another important personality which I want to discuss, that is the Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore's work, and especially I want to mention in 1892 his article, that is Our Education and its incongruities, where he mentioned, not it is correlation is not directly Muslim education or Islamic education, rather he mentioned about overall education perspective, which is highly influenced by the Jaddist movement. He started the Biswabharati Education Institution, where most of the objectives are taken from the Jaddist movement, whether it is the equal opportunity for the female kids or women's in education system, or you can discuss about the vernacular education system, which are very prominent in Jaddist movement, because most of the texts were there in Persian and Arabic, and they discuss about how to promote the local language like Uzbek and Tajik language in education system, because it is more accessible to the common people, and it is question of the sense of national identity also. In that regard, Tagore's work is very important to understand Jaddist movement, Jaddist influence in Indian context. And he discussed about why we need vernacular language. We need our own language to write scientifically and try to inculcate in our knowledge base. And that way we can reform the things. We are similar way coming with the colonial past, and our own language culture is somehow influenced by the Western or English culture. That way our own vernacular language is somehow left out, and native people who are able to understand things in their language, they are not able to understand, because most of the texts are available in English education and other things. Tagore focused on, in the similar way, how Jaddist movement discuss about the vernacular language. Similar way, he also focused that why vernacular writings are important, and that's why in Biswabharati he came with the idea of the languages to focus on Indian education in a very vernacular form. After reading all these four prominent leaders, writers, I realized that Indian past, if we look, it was too much influenced by these four personalities, and their ideas, how they brought it from the Jaddist movement directly or indirectly, that is now working after 1947. I realized when we got independence, most of the Western intellectuals, they were saying that India is not going to sustain for long as a country, because it is very difficult, very multicultural, and very unequal. But I think the ideas like Jaddist principle, which is brought by our first education minister, and the legacy which was there from Sir Syed Ahmad Khan to Rabindranath Tagore, to the scholar like Allama Mashiki, I think it play very important role to sustain India's multicultural sustain India as a multicultural country. So I think in that way I want to highlight that Jaddism emerged as a significant reformist movement within Indian Islam. I don't want to restrict it only with the Islam, Indian Islam. Rather, I want to discuss more beyond to Islamic education, and whole education system is in India is reformed due to the Jaddist movement. Our education became modernized. We empower women, and social reform took place. It is because of the Jaddist movement. The Jaddist movement has a lot of influence in Indian tradition, especially in modernity, and that's why it is very important now to discuss and highlight the people who were involved and how they executed it, and how we can carry forward the idea of Jaddism in future and make society progressive. I end with this. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, Anurag. Yeah, of course, there is no doubt that the intellectuals and culture of Turkestan and Hindustan was interacting, was taking diamonds, like the best from each other. And Rabindranath Tagore was together with Mahabharat was must to read in my childhood. So if we do not know most of the great enlighters and writers from Hindustan, but Rabindranath Tagore was the one which we studied. Well, we will talk more about this, but right now I would like to give the floor to a young and amazing scholar from Fergana State University, to Utkir Rajabov. He's the head of the Department of Youth Affairs, Spirituality and Enlightenment of Fergana State University, with the topic of Jaddidism and its educational initiative in Uzbekistan. I will help with translation as he will present in Russian language, and as he is having another meeting, as he's in the administration of Fergana State University. So without any delay, I'm giving the floor to Utkir. Utkir, söz sizde sende.
Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli qatnashchilar. Akbota o'zbekcha gapiraman, chunki jadid yetakchilarning asosiy g'oyalaridan biri
Kichkina ovozing chiqarsan. Endi sekin gaplashsam. Yaxshi eshitilayotgan yo'q, biroq so'zlayver endi.
Assalomu alaykum yana bir bor, hurmatli konferensiya ishtirokchilari. O'zbek tilida gapiraman, Akbota tarjima qilib turasiz. Jadidchilik harakatini yangi O'zbekistonda, Turkistonda tariximni, yangi O'zbekistonda taraqqiyotni ta'minlash sohasidagi g'oyalar to'g'risida ozgina ma'rifatparvar harakat to'g'risida ozgina mulohazalarni bermoqdaman. Tarjima qiling, Akbota.
O'tkir so'rayver, so'zning so'ngida tarjima qilaman.
Hurmatli konferensiya ishtirokchilari, hozir yuqorida aytildi, jadidizm g'oyalarini Turkistonda, jumladan Markaziy Osiyodagi tarqalishi, bu bitta davrga bo'linadi. Jadidchilarni Turkistondagi g'oyalarni ma'rifatparvar harakatini bo'lishimiz mumkin. Birinchisi, bular xayriya tashkilotlarini tuzgan. Xayriya tashkilotlarini tuzib to'rtta asosiy maqsad bo'lgan. Birinchisi, maktablarni tashkil etish. Ikkinchisi, yetim, kam ta'minlangan bolalarni moddiy qo'llab-quvvatlash va uchinchisi, teatr, gazeta va boshqa mana shu ma'rifiy sohadagi ishlarni moddiy tomondan qo'llab-quvvatlash asosiy maqsad bo'lgan. Jumladan mana aytishimiz mumkin, bilamizki, Markaziy Osiyoda jadidchilik harakatini asosiy namoyandalaridan biri Mahmud Xo'ja Behbudiy. Mahmud Xo'ja Behbudiyni biz qilayotgan ishlari, olib borgan siyosati yoki umuman uning g'oyalarini ko'radigan bo'lsak, birinchi bo'lgan mana shu to'g'ri aytishimiz mumkin, usuli jadid, usuli safiya degan yangi maktablarini ochishga harakat qildi. Lekin o'sha davrda Chor Rossiya tomonidan qo'llab-quvvatlash bo'lmaganligi uchun va maktablarda ta'lim berish eski usulda bo'lganligi uchun bu yangi jamg'armalar tashkil etib, yangi g'oyalarni amalga oshirmoqda. Yana bitta katta muammo bor, o'sha payti maktablarni tashkil etishda asosiy kitoblar va adabiyotlar nima deydi, tushunarli va dunyoviy fanlarga asoslanmagan. eski usulda va o'sha zamon jumladan Avropa taraqqiyoti to'g'risidagi adabiyotlar, Avropaga oid adabiyotlarni tarjima qilish imkoniyati muammo bor. Birinchi bo'lib Mahmud boshchiligidagi jadidlarimiz man markaziy Osiyoda birinchi asosiy maqsad dastlabki jamg'arma tashkil etish bo'ldi.
Utkir is telling about the schools which Jadids were opening in Central Asia, in Turkestan, at the beginning, about the translations of the European writers, or like let us call them Western writers, to the local languages. And he is also emphasizing the importance of Ismail Gasparalı for Jaddidism.
Rahmat Akbota, demak, bilamizki Ismoil Gasparalı tarjimon gazetasini joriy etgan 1880-yildan demak nashr etilgan boshlangan bo'lsa 1914-yilda bu nashr chiqqan. Endi bitta aytishim mumkinki, tarjimon gazetasini bosh g'oyasi, bosh shiori tilda, fikrda va ishda birlik deb nomlanadi. Mana shu shiorni bugungi kunda muhtaram prezidentimiz Shavkat Mirziyoyev tomonidan jadidchilik harakatini o'rganish, targ'ib qilish, bu bo'yicha ishlarni yanada kuchaytirish maqsadida ilgari surilgan takliflar, fikrlar, olib borayotgan islohotlar natijasida 2024 ya'ni yilimizni boshida O'zbekistonda Jadid degan gazeta chiqa boshladi va mazkur O'zbekistonda chiqayotgan gazetamizni bosh shiori ham xuddi shu tanlandi, ya'ni tilda, fikrda, ishda birlik deb nomlandi. Endi buni nimaga demoqchimanki, demak, hozir aytdim, xayriya jamg'armalari o'ziga xos bir jadidchilarni ma'rifatparvar g'oyalarni amalga oshirishda asosiy vosita bo'lishi kerak edi. Bu bo'yicha judayam jon kuydiradi va barcha o'sha paytdagi savdogarlarni, Turkistondagi boylarni va puldor yeri mulki bo'lgan insonlarni mana shu jamg'armaga nima deydi, pulni yo'naltirishda targ'ib qiladi. Lekin ming afsuski, o'sha paytda bizda jadidchilikni bosh yetakchilar tomonidan ilgari surilgan mazkur umummilliy tashabbuslar o'sha paytda qo'llab-quvvatlanmaydi va juda ko'p jamg'armalarda pul yo'qligi uchun jadidchilik g'oyalari amalga oshmay qoladi. Ana endi jadidlar bu yo'l amalga oshmagandan keyin ikkinchi yo'lga o'tadi. Bu ikkinchi yo'lning nomi ma'rifatparvarlik g'oyalarini boshqa shaklda o'tirish. Birinchisi, gazeta joriy etish. Demak, Markaziy Osiyoda jadidchilarning eng birinchi gazetasi, buni nomi Taraqqiy deb nomlanadi. Taraqqiy gazetasi jadidlarning birinchi, demak, asosiy gazetalaridan biri va bundan keyin rivojlanib ketadi. Buni Taraqqiy gazetasi 1906-yil 27-iyunda demak birinchi nashri chiqadi va buni bosh muharrir sifatida Ismoil Obidiy degan jadid demak boshchilik qiladi. Va mana shu 1906-yil 27-iyun sanasi bugungi kunda O'zbekistonda ommaviy axborot va jurnalistlar kuni sifatida keng nishonlanadi.
Utkir is emphasizing on the Gasparalı's idea of unity. He is also telling about the newspapers which were published in Turkestan. But one thing, as I couldn't hear well what he was saying based on the bad sound connection, I think that Utkir will give his presentation to us. We will translate and distribute it to the participants if it will work. Utkir?
Va yana bitta narsasi, bu gazeta bitta yo'nalish bo'layotgan bo'lsa, ikkinchi yo'li bular Mahmud Xo'ja Behbudiy tashabbusi bilan xalqni ma'rifatli qilish bo'yicha teatrlar, ya'ni teatrlar orqali bir spektakllar bilan xalqni uyg'otish bo'lgan. Jumladan birinchi bo'lib Behbudiy va Avloniy hamkorlikda Turon degan teatr tuzishadi bular. Turon nomi bo'ladi. Mana shu Turon teatriga demak birinchi qo'yilgan asar bu Behbudiy tomonidan yozilgan Padarkush degan asar bo'ladi. Ya'ni Padarkush asarini bosh g'oyasi o'sha paytdagi musulmon nima deydi, boylar o'z farzandiga ta'lim tarbiya bermasligi natijasida oxirida farzand o'zini otasini o'ldiradi. Mana shu g'oya orqali demak Behbudiy xalqni uyg'otmoqchi bo'ladi. Ya'ni boylarning pulini ta'limga va millatni isloh qilish tashabbuslarga yo'naltirishni maqsad qiladi. Yana bitta narsani qo'shib gapirishim kerak. Akbota mana shu Behbudiyning teatr tashabbusidan keyin nima desa bo'ladi? Padarkush asaridan Abdulla Avloniy yana bitta jadid bu bilasizlar, o'tgan kunlar romanini yozgan Abdulla Avloniy bundan ta'sirlanadi va aytadiki, shunaqa men deydi Padarkush asaridan ta'sirlanib Baxtsizlik degan dramani yozdim deb aytadi. Ya'ni shu darajada bu Padarkush asari o'sha paytda Turon teatr truppasi tomonidan xalq o'rtasida mashhur bo'ladi. Ya'ni xalq orasida juda ko'pchilikka qo'yilgan bo'ladi va dramatik ruhda bo'lganligi uchun bundan hatto Abdulla Qodir, ya'ni keyingi Jaddidism nima deydi, ta'sirlanib qolgan asarlar. O'sha davrlarni xotirlagan Ismoilovich degan inson bor, bu rossiyalik nima tadqiqotchi, shu aytadiki, Padarkush asarini yaratilishi Turkistonda yangi adabiyot davrini boshlab berdi va bu mumkin kutilmagan holat emas deb ta'kidladi.
He's telling about developing the theater in Turkestan region and also about the prose writing the novelist of the Turkestan.
Va yana bitta narsani aytmoqchimizki, bu Behbudiyning tashabbuslari bo'lsa, bizda ana endi keyingi o'sha davrda boshqa jadidlar ham bor. Mana misol uchun Munavvarxori Abdurashidxonov. Munavvarxori Abdurashidxonov ham o'sha paytda nima deydi, jadidlarga o'zi Behbudiy Samarqandda tug'ilgan, samarqandlik. Munavvarxori Abdurashidxonov esa Toshkent shahrida. Ular bir-biri bilan o'zaro muloqotda bo'ladida, Munavvarxori Abdurashidxonov ana endi yangi maktablar tashkil etish asosiy g'oyasi asosida Turkistonda oliy ta'lim muassasasi, ya'ni universitet ochishni maqsad qiladi va 1918-yilda ochilgan birinchi O'rta Osiyo Dorul Fununiga rektor etib tayinlanadi va mana shu joyda, ya'ni 1918-yil bugungi Toshkent shahridagi National University of Uzbekistan, ya'ni O'zbekiston Milliy universiteti 1918-yilda O'rta Osiyoda, jumladan O'zbekistondagi birinchi oliy ta'lim muassasasi sifatida tashkil qilingan.
Utkir also is telling about the universities opened and the first university, Uzbek National University.
Va yana bitta narsani aytishimiz kerak. Turkiston jadidida O'rta Osiyo jadidlarini bosh g'oyasi, ya'ni Chor Rossiya davrida alohida davlat bo'ldi va ular buni yo'lda har xil vositalar bilan gaplashdi, barcha vositalarni jalb etdilar, oldinga teatr, xalqning sog'lig'ini oshirish va umuman o'sha paytdagi musulmonlarni birlashtirish va yangi usulda dunyoviy fanlarni o'rgatish kabi g'oyalar asosida bir yangi bir o'ziga xos harakat. O'ziga narsani aytish kerak, jadidchilik harakati ikkita bosqichdan iborat. Birinchisi, demak, ma'rifatparvarlik, siyosiy maqsad va mana shu harakat asosida 1917-yil 26 noyabrda Qo'qon shahrida Turkiston muxtoriyati degan bir yangi bir nima deydi, Chor Rossiyasi, Rossiya Federatsiyasi tarkibida yangi bir muxtor davlatni ular yaratishdi va bu to'g'ri birlashtirish xalqni yangi bir g'oyalar va yangi maqsadlar sari harakat qilishdan iborat edi va bu narsa Turkiston muxtoriyati degan davlatni tashkil etish bilan ro'yobga chiqdi.
As a speaker, just as I mentioned about the propaganda of Jaddidism propaganda, that just like the divided into two steps. The first one was like the connected with educational reform. The second one was political reform. And according to this kind of the ideological proposal, that appeared the new kind of the autonomy, a new kind of the state, which was named like the Turkestan Autonomy State, and it helped to develop the national identity. It helped to develop the Turkish identity. So the speaker just like the emphasized on that due to the Enlightenment ideology, due to the educational system and cultural system, it helps to develop the and trade the spiritual life of the indigenous people.
Turkiston muxtoriyati tuzilgan kunni jadid buxorolik jadidni siltirab milliy laylatul qadrimiz sifatida o'ziga xos e'tirof etadi va barcha jadidchilar mana shu Turkiston muxtoriyatini tashkiliy tuzilmasi, jumladan konstitutsiyasini tuzish kerak edi. Konstitutsiyasi umuman siyosiy mudofaa barcha tizimlarini yaratishga kirishdilar. Lekin o'sha paytda bitta jadidchilarda bitta ishonuvchanlik bo'ldi. Bu ham bo'lsa xabarlar bor, bolsheviklar hokimiyat ko'tarilgandan keyin bolsheviklarda bitta g'oya bor edi, ya'ni har bitta davlat o'zini demokratik o'zi xohlagancha huquqini amalga oshirishi mumkin degan g'oya. Va Turkiston muxtoriyati mana shunga ishonib turib harakat qildi, lekin ming afsuski 1918-yilda fevral 19-fevral oyida bolsheviklar kuchni tashladi va qaqshatqich tarzda Turkiston, ya'ni jadidchilarni orzusi bo'lgan Turkiston muxtoriyati 1918-19-fevralda ag'darib tashlandi va bular bildiki, jadidchilar demak bu milliy mustaqillik chorrasiyasi yoqmadi va qaqshatqich zarba bilan yiqitildi. Va shuni aytishimizki, bu bilan to'xtab qolmadi. Milliy davlatchilik orzusi barbod bo'lgandan keyin bular yana davom etadi, o'zini faoliyatini amalga oshiradi. Mana misol uchun yana gazetalarni Xurshid degan gazeta chiqdi, Oyna degan gazeta chiqdi, Sadoyi Turkiston degan gazeta chiqarishda xalqni ilmli qilish, jumladan o'sha paytdagi jadidchilarning bosh g'oyasi diniy bilimlar bilan birga dunyoviy fanlarni o'qitishni asosiy maqsad qildi va bu bo'yicha xabarlaring bor. Hatto chet davlatga yoshlarni o'qitish kerak, yangi usulni o'rganish degan g'oyani ilgari surib turib, bir so'z bilan aytganda, xulosasini aytganda, o'sha paytda xalqni ziyoli va ilmga muhabbatli, ma'rifatli qilish yo'ldan qaytmadilar. Garchi 1937-yilgacha jadidlar qaqshatqich qatag'onga uchragan bo'lsalar ham o'zlarini fikrlaridan, g'oyalaridan aslo qaytmaganlar. Mana misol uchun Abdulla Qodiriyni olamiz, Cho'lponni olamiz, Tiratni olamiz, 1937-yil qatag'on qilindi, ya'ni qurbonlik qilindi. Lekin bular o'zini yo'ldan qaytmadi, ya'ni ma'rifatli jamiyat qurish g'oyasini aslo tark etmadi. Hamma asarlarda shu.
And our current speaker also expressed about that when the Turkestan Autonomy State was a period that our great ancestor and Jaddist Abdurrauf Fitrat, he just also proclaimed about this kind of the state like that it is a day of Laylatul Qadr, or the night of the power. Yes, it was just like that very important day in our history, because this kind of the autonomic of the Turkestan Autonomic State was like the independent and separated state from the Russian Empire, but unfortunately it just like the existed only 72 days, and this kind of the state also like the cruelly it was like a disaster for the history of Turkestan regime, because the Bolshevik regime like liquidated this kind of the state. But in spite of this kind of the time, very cruel time in the history of Turkestan, Turkestan. This our Turkestan autonomic state appeared was a great idea for Jaddidism activity, for Jaddidist ideology. And currently, after the independence, our first president and current president also mentioned it this day and mentioned our Jaddidist Abdurrauf Fitrat, Munawar Karebeh, Hojabeh Budi, and their the ideology played a great role for educational and spiritual life of the local people.
Yani hozir O'zbekiston aytdim, yil boshidan Jadid degan gazeta chiqa boshladi. O'zlarini maqolalari bilan aka tadqiqotchilar bor, ustozlar bor ekan. Bemalol biz orqali mana shu Jadid gazetasida maqolalari bilan ishtirok etishlari mumkin. E'tiborlaringizga rahmat. Akbota.
Rahmet Utkir, Rahmet Parvina. Because without you, I failed to listen, to hear what was said. Probably there is some issue with my connection as well. So last but not the least, I actually failed to call our colleagues from Kazakhstan, but later on I will give some comments on Kazakhstan as well. So the last but not the least presentation for today is by Dr. Nargiza Olimova, head of the Department of History of Fergana State University, and our wonderful, amazing, beautiful and young Parvina Ismoilova, PhD candidate from the same department, same Fergana State University, with the presentation of several notes on the ideas of Jaddidism in Turkestan. Parvina, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, dear participants. And today I'm going to give a brief report about some comments on the Enlightenment ideas of the Jaddidists in the Turkestan region. And firstly, I would like to start about that at the end of the 19th century, a new force which would play an extremely important role in the social-political life of the region was slowly maturing in the depth of the Turkestan society. This powerful social force was represented in the person of local intellectual progressives, united in the movement known as Jaddidism. As like that mentioned at previous, Jaddidism, what is it? It's just like the Arabic word and means Jadid is new, like the new method. And this kind of the activity appeared in order to just like the group of Muslim modernizers in the Turkestan region, and they emerged in response to the challenge posed by Russian colonial rule and sought to modernize Central Asian society while preserving Islamic values. And the origin of this kind of the ideology, origin of this kind of the movement, of course, was like the Ismail Gasprinsky or Ismail Gaspirali, and he just like started to promote his ideas on not only in his like the Crimean state but also all of the Central Asian territories, and he also like known as the father of Jaddidism. And this kind of the movement also appeared in the Turkestan, and the enlightenment activities of the Jaddids of Turkestan were mainly of the another kind of the name of this kind of the term maybe can be said at the reformist nature. And the first like the movement of Jaddidist movement was educational reform, and why this kind of the education on enlightenment system was so very important for the Turkestan Jaddids, because they tried to propagate their views and ideas. They found the most effective way of creating a national theater. The theaters became powerful mass means of propaganda of their ideology. And as like that, the previous speaker Utkir also mentioned about the theater. This theater name was like the Turan, and this kind of the Turan was founded by the Abdullah Ablani. And one of the interesting points that the first play, which was like the acted in this kind of the theater, was named like the Patricide or the Padarkush, which was written by Mahmud Hojabeh Budi. Mahmud Hojabeh Budi also well known in Turkestan like the father of the Jaddidism in Turkestan. And other like the Jihadists, like Abdurauf Fitrat and Munawar Khairi. Abdurauf Fitrat is like the founder of the Uzbek literature, and Munawar Khairi also like the founded a different kind of the libraries and wrote different kind of the article which started to propagate the idea of Jaddidism in our Turkestan place. And so in this way, Turkestan Jaddids use print media to produce new method textbooks, newspapers, and magazines in addition to new plays and literature and distinctly innovative idiom. And their like the main slogan and idea was freedom, equality, and justice. Well, in this way, the idea of Jaddidism, or the idea of Jaddidism in Turkestan also had 6 main key points. And the first one, as all of our the participants also mentioned about it, is educational reform, because the Jaddids emphasizes the importance of education as a means of enlightenment and social progress. They called for modernization of the traditional Islamic educational system, introducing subjects such as science, maths, and literature alongside religious studies. This was in line with Enlightenment ideals of rationality and empirical inquiry. And the second point and the second key is just the secularization. As our scholar from India also mentioned about it, because while the Jaddids were devoted Muslims, they advocated for the separation of religious and secular spheres, a principle of religious tolerance and individual freedom. They sought to modernize governance by promoting the rule of law and advocating for constitutional reforms, aiming to create a more just and equitable society. And of course, like our Fergana State University professor and lecturer Bahodirjon Ganiyev also mentioned about women's rights. Of course, Jaddidist movement also promote the women's rights, because the Jaddids were pioneers in advocating for women's education and rights in Central Asia. They believed in the importance of educating women to improve society and promote gender equality, reflecting enlightenment ideals of human rights and gender equality. And of course, I think that the main the significant is cultural revival. Despite their embrace of modernization, the Jaddids also sought to preserve and revive Central Asian cultural identity. They promoted the use of the Turkic language in education and literature, aiming to reclaim indigenous cultural heritage from the influence of Russian colonialism. Because at that time appeared the new types school, Russian type school, and in this way, Jaddids pioneers also trying to establish the Jaddistical school or Jaddidism school. So it was some kind of the competitional points, but basically I think that's our the Jaddist ancestor were able to do and organize their idea. And another key point is intellectual exchange. The Jaddids were influenced by ideas from both the Islamic world and beyond, engaging in intellectual exchange with intellectuals from other Muslim-majority region as well as Europe. They openness to diverse ideas and cultures mirrors enlightenment values of cosmopolitanism, and cultural exchange. And the last one is critic of tradition. Like Enlightenment thinkers criticize the traditional authority of the church in Europe, of course, they even make some kind of the comparison with European states. Jaddids at the same time questioned the entrenched power structures of the Central Asia society, including the authority of traditional religious and political elites. They advocated for a more meritocratic and inclusive society based on knowledge and expertise rather than birth rights. Well, and in this way, I would like to summarize about the Enlightenment ideas of Jaddids in the Turkestan region represented a complex blend of modernization, Islamic reform, and cultural revival, echoing broader trends of intellectual ferment and social changes in the late 19th and early 20th century, basically in the under of the Russian colonial period's time. Thank you very much for your attention. That's all.
Thank you so much, Parvina, for your brilliant presentation.
Thank
And as I said, our conference is coming to its today's end, not the end, but today's end. Well, and from the thoughts that we got from today's speakers, we should I thank Abuzarji for this wonderful comment, saying that this land of Turkestan, and mainly Fergana Valley, is the cradle, is in this way of another of the world civilization. Unfortunately, still the 5 Central Asian, or let us call 4 out of them, didn't come out with the common history. We still study different historical period. The periodization of history is very different in Kazakhstan from the one which is studied in Uzbekistan. But still, we do not have different history. We share a one history. And starting from 15th century, yes, they were different kingdoms, but they were interconnected. And the nations which are today which today form the 5 Central Asians, were interacting in this way or another in within those Khanate or kingdoms. The language was the same, and the language is one of the main subjects which shows our identity. This great language, which is written on Kültegen and on Tonukuk, is still spoken here in Fergana. It is still spoken in the steppes, in the great deserts of Kazakhstan. It is still spoken in Kyrgyzstan. It is still spoken in Turkmenistan. And Tajikistan is not an outsider, despite the fact that the language initiated by Sadreddin Aini, who was mentioned a number of times here, is Tajik. People are the same. We are not different. Parvina is not different from me. And I'm not different, let us say, from Professor Jumaul. Or and we are those who are the Turkestanis. So we should study our history. We should be proud of Jadid. We should be proud of Alashorda. We should be proud of the history of Turkestan. But I guess it is now the time to create something common. And we are so fortunate. Never in the history of the sovereign 5 Central Asians, we were called as C5. We were never picturized in the world arena as the C5+1. Now the time came. I believe that the conference will come with the wonderful outcomes. And I guess we might, what time is it? We can take maybe 2 more comments and then we can end. What do you think, colleagues? Yeah?
Yes. Thank you very much. It was very great contribution. That's due to these international scholars. I just learned a lot of the interesting things from about the history of Turkestan, and I realized the surprise about that. Not from Uzbekistan, the scholar from the India, from Turkey and Iran really has a great interest for the history of Uzbekistan. Basically, yes, Turkish, like Jaddidis, like the Abdurrauf Fitrat, like Mahmoud Hoja Behbudi, they just told very interesting comments about their the activity and deals. So thank you very much. I'm really happy to participate in this kind of the conference. Ms. Akbota also, thank you very much.
Thank you,
for the interesting conference topic.
Maybe some more comments? As I'm from the phone, I cannot see who is raising the hands or so you can just get into the conversation. If not, then I guess we can finalize.
May I say something, Akbota?
Yes, Abuzarji.
This is a very interesting conference which you have organized. And let's hope you will publish some very important monograph or whatever you can give the name or paper, and it will be very benefit, because see, there is a lot of things we couldn't cover in the short time, because we are talking about the, I mean, other, what I got, the Bahodirjon and other, those who talk about the gender equality. And so, since the time of the Ismail Bey Kaspersky, his daughter, her name was Shafika Gaspirelli, or Shafika Ismoilova. She mentioned her name. She was the editor-in-chief, one of the journal which was published in 1906. Its name was Alame Niswa. So that is related to the women's, matter aspect and education of that. And she has opened one school for them also. And of course, there's a lot of things we have to, rediscover basically this time. And of course, our young scholar friend Anurag has mentioned these 4 names. Sir Sayyid Ahmad Khan, Abul Kalam Azad, Allama Mashriqi, and Tagore, and just relate with that Jaddidism. Wonderful. I mean, he has related, and this idea has come. I think is a very wonderful idea, because see the situation. That time either the Hindustan or Turkestan was facing, both the situation, it was under the colonial period, either in the Russian or the British colonial period. We were facing, and that side the Turkestan was facing. So this is the first time, and let's hope in future we will meet regularly. So whenever you will invite, I am ready, or I'll be always ready. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you, sir.
much.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Let's meet in person here.
Okay. I also want to say something. First, I would like to thank you, first Akbota and the colleagues there in Fergana State University. And I also happy to see colleagues from different parts of the world, and especially young scholars who are studying, working in this subject. We are in Ibn Haldun University in Istanbul. We have 2 activities which I want to invite everyone. The first one is the May 21st and 22nd. We will have a conference called the International Eurasian Studies Conference. So it's open everyone. I will send you to a call for paper. That conference, different topic we will talk, and still the deadline is not ended. So I will send I think 1 or 2 weeks left. So you can send your proposals. The second one is in summer. We are planning to have a summer school for Turkic world. This will be in Istanbul 2 weeks. And we are inviting all, and it's only related to Turkic world, but the subject is Turkic world, but anyone who interested, who is working on this subject can join this summer school. We will have the distinguished fellow, and we did this, organize this, plan this conference, the summer school, the way the expert can talk to one subject, but listen to 13 different subjects, both student and the lecturer. So that way we will cover the all costs except traveling from the origin country to Istanbul, but the staying and food and everything we will cover, accommodation, everything we will cover in Istanbul. So if you're interested in these 2 activities, I can send the information. Thank you again organizing this conference. I hopefully see you someday, different place and different time, face to face. Bye.
Thank you, Yasar Hocam. Colleagues, Any more comments?
Yes.
Anyone? Yeah. Let me introduce this sweet girl. Her name is Amina. She is my student, actually. Best of the best of my student. There is a group of amazing young scholars who formed the Global Young Scholars Group. They are several of them, but Amina, Batyrzhan, Zhakiya, and Diana are helping us today with this conference. They actually helped in organizing. So Amina, please.
Yes, on behalf of young scholars, I would like to express our opinion about today's conference. It is fantastic to see many brilliant minds gathering here today. So together we had an opportunity to exchange ideas, like challenge assumptions and inspire one another. Today we had different presentation and discussion ahead. And I'm thrilled to see such a distinguished gathering of scholars and researchers in attendance, as I mentioned before. So I agree with the Dr. Ganiyev. We need to gather more often, exchange our opinion, introduce new ideas into the scientific community. It is very valuable for young scholars. It is also valuable for all of us to see like new generation express themselves. And I'm really happy to be here today to listen your ideas, your opinion about it. It's also valuable for us because as my favorite teacher said, Professor Akbota Zholdasbekova, it is an honor to us to organize this meeting to see all of you today. And well, that's all I think. Thank you very much, our dear speakers. Thank you very much, Akbota Zholdasbekova, for this opportunity. And thank you to my colleagues, Zhakiya, Batyrzhan, and Diana, to help us with this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. Amina is only 20 years old. She is a bachelor student. So I guess with the young scholars like this, Central Asia, the Turkic world, Asian civilization do have a future. Thank you so much. Oh, sure, Anurag.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me in such a wonderful conference. I think it is a wonderful platform where we can discuss a lot of things which are not discussed too much. Actually, we are busy in talking in IR in a very, very Western perspective. And I think it is the right time where third world you can say that the scholar from Asia, we have to think in a different manner, rather too much prejudice about the Western notion. And these are the platform, if it is created properly and we are meeting frequently, I think it will work and it can do miracle. Because generally we are looking what US is doing, what Western world is thinking, what realist liberals are thinking. Rather, we have a lot of things to talk, and we need to highlight that why we are not doing. I think it is a right initiatives taken by you, Akbota, and I am looking forward to think in a very, very positive manner, and I am always ready to whatever my ability is there to help the platform in a very effective manner. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank you, Anurag. Actually, for me personally, the expertise of Yasar, of Abuzar, of Anurag is much more important than the expertise of Fred Starr mentioned by Yasar. But I hope that with this kind of scholars and young students, tomorrow, our expertise will be important worldwide, and we will stop calling ourselves East. We are not the East. Turkey is our West. Iran is our West. We are Asian, and yeah.
For me, is the most valuable things the young generation, young scholars presentation, be active in this conference. By the way, if you look at the conversation section, you can see that this two call for paper, both for the conference and the summer school information. You can see that. So to organizing this conference also, the Hüdayi, our coordinator, actively involved. I want to thank him too, because he's always behind the scene, but he's very actively involving. And the last part is there's a decolonization process is started. Decolonization process for political reasons started 50s, 60s, but the colonization process for ideas not depend on the Eurocentric approach is becoming common in international relation too. In our conference, International Eurasian Conference, we will talk about those subjects in detail, and local knowledge, local information, of course, the most valuable information. We need to be more active and seen more international level. Why I mentioned the Frederick Starr, of course, he's Western, but he promoting also Central Asia and enlightenment happened in the region. And for that reason, we need to also give credit Starr, Edeb Hali, or Edward Elward. They are not looking the region through Western perspective, but looking the region from the inside. For that reason, important. Thank you.
Still, you are more important for us. Thank you so much. Let us meet in Istanbul. Colleagues, friends, can we finalize the conference now? Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Akbota.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Goodbye.